You have something you wanted to say for 3 weeks, but every time you think about saying it, you just imagine the fight that goes with it. And then you just end up not saying it. But here's the thing, the fight does not come from the thing that you want to say. It comes from the way you actually start to say it. The way you will usually approach like a conversation like that makes that you already lost it. Makes it in a way that it will automatically be a fight. If you go there and you start by saying things like, okay, we need to talk, or why you always do this, there is this thing that I think we should talk about, this most likely gonna end up as a fight, because this is literally how you open a conversation about something that you want to say that you know it's not really fun, You never go there and be like, oh, we need to talk, I love you, or we need to talk, that would be nice that we go on the weekend. You never do that. If you go there and you're like, we need to talk, this is because there is something bad. So by starting that way, what happened for your partner is that they will start to be on the defensive, like by default, like even unconsciously, they will just be like, there is something going on. They will start to be like, okay, what I have done, what happening? Like they will start to like race in their mind and be like, okay, there is something, well, like you see what I mean? Like they will start maybe like to be stressed or to start to think about what they have done, or like, again, we're gonna talk about like something bad. So just starting like that will most likely end up with a fight, or at least a conversation that is not pleasant to have. So the problem is that when you start like this, whatever you will say after, that will not be perceived as something good. So even if you come up and you say something and you actually have a good point, like the other person will still be like, okay, we just started like a fight. They will tell me something that is like bad. You say the thing and they were like, well, yeah, I knew it, it's about that. So then they are like basically on the defensive. Even worse, if you actually try to prepare like the game, like you try to be like sending a text and be like, oh, later we'll need to talk. Or like, oh, you try to, prepare the field to be like, we'll have to talk about something that is not really fun. And you do this like in advance, because if you do it at the moment, like it's not the best. As I say, you just come up in the room and you're like, okay, we need to talk. That's not the best. But even worse, if you try to like premeditate it, like to be like, okay, tonight we need to talk. Or like, oh, this weekend that would be nice if we sit and we talk about that, because there is this one thing that I think we should talk about. Like this is even worse, because the time between the moment you say, oh, we need to talk, and the moment you actually talk will just make it worse. Like it will just make it worse, because what I just explained of like starting to think, okay, what's going on, what I have done, starting like to be stressed, etc. Instead of like happening in the moment, and well, it's still not good, it will have like many hours or even days to happen until the moment you actually talk. So again, don't do that. So now let's see how to actually do this properly. And there is actually like kind of like a formula for this that goes into 4 points, and you will see that's pretty simple. The first one is the timing, like the moment you will ask it. Of course, you're not going to talk about the thing you want to say right before going to sleep. It doesn't make sense. It's not the right moment. You're not going to do it like right first thing in the morning. That's not the best. So find the right timing to talk about this, like a moment when you know you're both like free to do so, you're like both available, like most likely during the day, not while you're doing like something else. Like it seems like obvious, but like the timing is important. Like don't just bring things like in the middle of something or like randomly. That's not gonna work. Second point is be specific. Like don't try to like put every problem that you had for the past 3 weeks or like 3 months into like one thing. Be specific at one thing specifically, the thing you want to talk about, and don't be vague. Don't be like, oh, you always do this, or there is this thing that you do like in general. Like be specific. Like if there is something that happened specifically at a specific moment, be specific with that moment. Be like, oh, last Saturday when this happened. Be specific, be clear about like what you want to talk about. That's one of the most important things, because if you're vague, they will not get it, because you come up with something, so you have to be like, oh, this is like this was like the context, and you have to give them the context if you want them to be able to like remember and to be like at the same page with you. The third thing, and it's really important, share how you felt. Like share how you felt and how you feel about the thing. Don't just blame people being like, oh, you're doing this, or you're doing that, or you did this bad. Like share how you felt about that. How did you feel? Like why this is something that you need to talk about. There is a reason for that, because you felt something. Maybe you felt sad, maybe you felt rejected, maybe you felt like bad. Like express that feeling, and not like as something that they did to you, but something you actually felt based on the context. That's totally different, because if you accuse them to be like, oh, you make me feel that way, this is an attack. And what happened when you get attacked? Well, you attack back, or like you defend, or like whatever you're doing. But if you say like, okay, there was like this thing that happened, this happened, and I felt a little bit like that because of this, then it's different. It's like the situation, the context, the thing. You see what I mean? So this is like really important, like to share how you feel. The last point, ask something. Like you cannot just come with a complaint and be like, okay, there is this. Now what? Like have something kind of like to ask, like, and by something to ask, of course, like don't ask them to totally change, but kind of like open the conversation with like a question of like, okay, how do you feel we could improve that? How do you feel we can make this better? You see how this is totally different. So if you put everything together, like it comes from like maybe end of afternoon, you're like together, living room, like chilling, and you're like, oh, there is this thing that happened like last Saturday when you cancel like the date last minute. I know you had like something important to do, but after that I felt like I was not really important. How do you feel we can work on this to improve so it does not happen again in the future? You see how this is different. Like this is different because you're not blaming them, you're not attacking them, you're like putting a context. You're coming like at a moment where there is peace, most likely. You're putting the context, you're framing the thing at an exact moment so they can remember the context. You express how you felt at that moment. This is really important for them to take this seriously. And then you don't just end up with that and be like, oh, deal with it. But you're like, okay, how can we actually work on that, or make something to have this happen less, or makes me feel better that way? And this put what was a fight before into a position where they are like open to find a solution, because well, they're your partner, they want you to feel better, so they'll be like, oh, let me try to find a way to make my partner feel better. You know, that makes sense. And this is how you actually talk about something that you think about without necessarily creating like a war inside the house, if you're living together, like in the relationship at least. One important thing when you're doing this, as I said before, be specific. Like pick one specific thing and try to work on it. But don't get in the trap to just add things and add things. Like if you start with that thing and then they explain something and then you're kind of thinking about something else, resist. Like don't just put that on top and be like, oh, there is also this that you've done, and oh, there is also this moment. Like be focused on one thing, because the goal is to like resolve one thing at a time. Like you're not gonna solve like all your problem into one conversation. If you can have like this conversation and start to fix this, that's good. Then if there is like another thing that comes to your mind, keep that for later. This is fine to like focus on one thing, finish that conversation, and then keep that other thing for later. Like the goal is not because you just started to open the door to like destroy the door and be like, oh, we can talk about that, let's bring all the other things, because then you will just like overwhelm them and they will just be like, okay, it started well because the way you brought the thing, and then you just ended up being like, oh, and there is this, and there is this, and there is this, and they will just think that it's being like their judgment. So the one thing to remember from this video is that you can say hard things and it doesn't have to end up with a fight. And you don't have to be nice when you say it, but the way you bring the thing is the most important thing. So remember the 4 things: the timing, be precise, share how you feel, and finish with an open question. If you do this, everything you have to share, even if it's like big things, will go way better than if you just come up and be like, okay, we need to talk, there is this that goes bad. This will be way better and will avoid you a lot of fights. Remember this, the fights does not come from what you want to share, but from the way you share it and then the way the conversation goes After that, 90% of the time, if you have a fight, it's just about a communication problem more than the things that you brought in the first place. If this video was somehow helpful, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. I see you soon for another one, and until then, take care and drink your water.